today we have an old 22 caliber target revolver. A friend of mine brought this over, wanted me to just take a look at it, clean it up a little bit. And honestly, I didn't intend to make any kind of video, but I just made the one on the kit gun where I disassembled it and cleaned it. But so after I finished it, and the more I looked into the information about the gun, the more I realized this was kind of a cool little item that he had, and wanted to share some of it. So apparently it was his grandfather's gun, which always makes me nervous when somebody brings something in that was grandpa's. But anyway, we got it cleaned up, and it turned out pretty nice. Apparently his grandfather kept it on the dashboard of his truck when he went up and visited his cabin, just in case. So it's it's got its wear, a little oxidized around the barrel, but generally it's in pretty decent shape. And it turns out that it's got some pretty early and rather rare features. The internals are exactly the same as a modern, brand new Smith&Wesson. That was just a perfect job of engineering they did back in those days, and they just left it alone. But there are a few features on here which are different. So I believe this was a pre-war model. I actually probably, way back. I think this was made in the teens, based on the serial number on the gun. It's got a 6-inch target barrel. It's a 5-screw model, which is different than today. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there's one here, which is for the cylinder stop spring. So that's let you know that it was rather old. Has a large head on the ejector, which was another indication that it was a fairly early gun. And that was a little sticky, cleaned up nice, so it moves well, and we can see it's definitely in pretty decent shape, actually. There are, one of the ways you can tell these early guns, there are serial numbers in 3 places. One here on the grips handle, one here on the cylinder, which is very tiny and hard to see, but it's there. And then another spot is on the barrel itself, underneath the ejector rod. So, this is a pretty early model. I believe, and I think all the guys on all the Smith&Wesson guys can comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but these 2 screws on the grips was kind of a rare feature, and I believe this is probably what's called a Bekeart gun. There was a dealer in San Francisco named Phil Bekeart who suggested that Smith&Wesson make a 22 target pistol based on the 32 caliber frame, K-frame, and they did it, and he bought a bunch of them. I think this is around 1911, and it caught on, became the what was called the 22-32 model, and has some very cool features. This is a very early adjustable sight here on the top, which was kind of rare for especially pre-war models. Has a knurled, what they called a humpback hammer. So there's some knurling here on the top that made it easier to cock it, and has a very smooth trigger, a little bit light on the single action, but I guess that was the target. The grips come up a little higher than usual. Has the gold medallion, which was common on very early guns. And like I said, based on what limited research you can do on serial numbers, I believe this was probably in the latter teens. So it probably wasn't part of the original Bekeart order, but definitely that design that was called the Bekeart model. Anyway, it's a great little gun, and very smooth. Like I said, little oxidation that you don't want to really, I cleaned up best I could without getting any more of the original finish off, but the finish on the gun itself is, I mean, it shows that it was pretty well done at the time. It must have been a really beautiful gun, but it still turned out awesome. The grips were a little dry and crusty. I cleaned the medallions out. Those were even hard to see before. I'll try to include a couple pictures. I did run a scope down the bore. I'll try to include that as well. It looks pretty amazing for a gun that's, nearly 110 years old. So overall, very cool little gun. I'm kind of jealous now that I know more about it, but I really appreciate him bringing it into me to clean up for him and take a look at. So anyway, have a great day. Stay safe.